How do I store my beads and findings for jewelry making? I'm going to show you in this video. Welcome to the channel Avante Jewelry. I'm Vicki, and I'm going to show you in this video how I store my beads and findings. Now, mind you, I have a lot of beads and findings, mainly because my husband Mark and I traveled for over a decade and sold our handcrafted jewelry. So when I show you my bead storage and my findings, please keep that in mind. Whether you have a few or a lot of beads or vintage necklaces that you plan to take apart, I think I have kind of a lot. You might have less or you might have more than what I have. But just keep in mind, I'm not sharing it with you for a show and tell. I'm sharing with you my beads and findings to hopefully give you some ideas on how you can store and organize your beads and findings. Being organized makes it easier to find our beads and findings, so that we can get started sooner on whatever it is we want to make that day. And throughout this video, along with showing you my storage containers and what I have in them and how I've organized them, well, I'll share some tips throughout the video. So let's get started. We're going to start out with how I store most of my small beads in my small organizers. They actually have 14 compartments, which is quite handy. And as you'll see in this first section of the video, I have quite a few of them. I'm not going to show you every single one, but I'm going to show you most of them so you can see how I organize the small beads and findings. So let's take a look at those small organizers. This entire container is filled with gold findings, post and earring backs, round beads, smaller round beads, fold over clasp and assorted items in here, crimp tubes and beads, daisy spacers, another size of daisy spacer, assortment of things in this one, small jump rings, some more crimp tubes and jump rings, gold tone ear wires, larger jump rings, medium, and some more jump rings. So I have a dedicated container just for gold. I don't have a lot of gold, so it makes it easy to confine it to one. You always want to make sure they're closed when you're done using them, and I try to only open one at a time. So that's my gold one. This container is dedicated to earrings. However, I do have a few gold ear wires in here, but otherwise the S on here, it's upside down now, but the S means that they're sterling. There's some gold tone ear wires, clip ear wires to make clip earrings, assorted earring backs. This is kind of a dark antique silver finish. The lever backs or lever back, however you want to say it. The silicone backs for earrings. Another style of silicone back. Earring backs with a dark finish. More clip. Post. Some head pins in here, not sure why. And a different style of ear wire. So this one here is dedicated to ear wires. I don't know why I have the gold in here other than I was into this one most frequently when we did the shows. And so I put some gold in here. This one is dedicated to a variety of things. All silver, silver tones, silver plated. I have some, I should mention that there's a little button here that I push in to open up each compartment. I can't just open it. It has a lock feature on it, so I push this button. We have some very small lobster clasp, 5mm round, silver plated, 4mm round, 3mm round. These are those clasps that I really don't like to use for necklaces, but I have quite a few. Fold over clasp, tiny little crimp beads. Again, I push the button. These twisted liquid silver tube beads, more lobster clasp, closed jump rings, more crimp tubes and beads, some more of the liquid silver, larger lobster clasp, and another size of lobster clasp. This container has mostly spacer beads in it. I'll show you here. Again, I'm pushing in the button. And of course, it's not spacer beads, but it's tiny little silver seed beads, some assorted spacer beads, a different kind of spacer bead, a daisy spacer bead, but a little bit different from what I normally use. I have some assorted odds and ends. This is a larger spacer bead. This is actually a small bail with a large hole. Spacer bead, another spacer bead. Hope those are showing up okay for you. Daisy spacers, assorted daisy spacers, different sizes. Sometimes they just get put together. Even though I have numbers on here, they're not always the same thing. Very small daisy spacers. Another type of daisy spacer, and a fairly large hole spacer. So that's what I have in this one. This has an assortment of things in it. I have a spacer bead that has a hole on each side. This is just a closed ring, decorative closed ring. I have some jump rings, assortment, nothing too fancy in there. This is a larger closed jump ring. A pendant bail, one of my favorite pendant bails to use. Some jump rings, a very large toggle clasp. Don't use those very often. Jump rings, silver plated round beads, and some very large crimp tubes. And then I have a ring, extra ring in here. I'm going to see if I can show you these without opening every container. These are spacer beads, different styles, different sizes. I just put this whole container together for just assorted spacer beads, all different shapes and sizes. And this container I put together because it has a lot of charms. Some have a little ring on them. Some are just beads that look like charms. Got some smiley faces and flowers, and some dangles, some don't. But this is all small little charms. When I made the earrings for the Valentine's video, I decided to start a container of all heart-related items. So I have different sizes of heart-shaped beads. I thought the key would be cool in here too. Hearts of different tones, and I've got gold tone hearts and silver tone hearts and puffy hearts, heart charms, anything heart-related, heart toggle clasp, those copper hearts. So anything heart-related I decided to put in its own container to make it really easy when I want to make heart earrings or jewelry with hearts. This container is fairly empty, but it's something new that I started. It's for small bead caps, little bead caps and cones. So I don't have a lot in it yet, but I thought it would be handy to keep the small ones separate from my large ones. This container is for connectors. I'll try to zoom in here and show you. I do have some hearts in here, but these are all some type of connector. I'm sure you'll recognize some of these that I used recently. Some things I haven't worked with very much, but all connectors. I had this container that has all different types of toggle clasps, different patterns, different shapes, sizes, but the common theme is toggle clasp. This container is larger bead caps. I showed you the one that I have smaller bead caps. Well, this is larger bead caps and cones. And it's just a small container because that's what worked. So these are both fairly small. This container is for different finishes, something other than silver or gold. And I've got copper colored ear wires and toggle clasp and jump rings and beads, round beads in different shades, something other than gold or silver. This is a different kind of container. This container also has the push button, and the only thing you'd ever have to worry about is if you drop your container on its side and that button got pushed, well, it's going to loosen these up. But otherwise, I do really like these containers with that safety button. I showed you the other ones had them too, but these are nice as well. This container also is for different finishes other than silver or gold. I have kind of a rose gold look, and I have brass and antique brass, different shades of copper, different shades of brass. Something other than silver or gold has its own container. When I have beads that are similar in size and I have a variety of colors, I like to put them in their own container. So that's what these have in common. They are all the same size, but different colors. Let's take a look at. These are cat's eyes in all different colors. All of these cat's eye beads are 6mm, but as you can see, I have all different colors, so I gave them their own container. Again, it has the safety button on the end. I would not buy containers anymore that don't have that safety button. Again, some unusual beads. They're all the same type of bead, just different sizes. I'll show you some. These are glass with a metallic finish on the ends. Some are copper, some are silver, but they're all glass with a very unique style to them. So they got their own container. I keep my stones in separate containers from my glass. I have some howlite, some black stone, variety of stones in this one. This one has red coral, gold jade, and a variety red agate. This one has some tiger's eye. So I do try to keep my stones separate from my glass beads. I have some green aventurine and some amethyst. I have another container of small hearts. I should have pulled this one out with the other one, but another container of little hearts. It's not focusing very well, but those are all heart beads. And this container, what they have in common is they all have a hole in the center, so they're like a donut bead. So that's the commonality between these beads, so it has its own container. These are all glass bicone beads, and they're all the same size, but a variety of colors. Let's find out what size those are. These are all 4mm, so that's what they have in common in this organizer. They are all bicone beads, 4mm in size. Have some pearls, faux pearls, glass pearls. We have two sizes here. I consider these my small and medium. All different colors, but they're all the same size. Let's check out the size on these. The smallest ones are 4mm, so that's what they have in common. They're all 4mm, but assorted colors. And then this one, I assume these are probably 6mm, but I'll double check it here. All of these are 6mm. 6mm glass pearls, assorted colors, and I probably have both sizes in every color. And I have a container for 8mm. So 3 sizes. Each has its own container. I have another container of mostly cat size that are 6mm. And then I also have some just 6mm round beads in here, assorted colors. This container is for cube beads. As you can see, various sizes of cubes on one side, and then I have some faceted little round beads on the other. So there's no perfect system here. You know, I put together what I think I need to put together for what I'm designing. These are all clear, all different shapes and sizes of clear or frosted beads, assorted shapes and sizes. This one is assorted sizes and shapes and styles of black beads. I have the black and white. These are tiny little rondelles, glass rondelles, variety of colors in the same case. Check the size on these. These are 4mm rondelles, all different colors. And all of these are the same size, different colors. Some are faceted, some are not, but they're all the same size, but a variety of colors. These are all 6mm. There's several things I like about these small organizers. One is they're clear so I can see the beads. Two, I can stack them. Now, mind you, I wouldn't have them freestanding. They are stacked in rows, and I do have them in a bookcase, but they will stack. Let's move on to what I consider my medium compartment containers. You know that aqua is one of my favorite colors, and I have one container set up with different shades of aqua beads. These are faux turquoise, some are glass, some, just came off the same strand, the yellow and the aqua. These are stones, but I have this case of larger beads, what I consider to be a medium to large. I have this case that has some ceramic, glass. There's a variety of sizes in here. This is a mix of beads, but I have this case set up. I set these up many years ago, so I just haven't changed some of them because I'm used to them, because I know what they are. And these are all crystals in various shades of aqua, all crystals. I have a container for the green and all these different shades. I have a lot of room to add more. Other shades of green, brown, variety of shades of green. Orange and rusty orange. I don't have a lot of beads in here, but this is the container for red, as you can see. I used a label maker and labeled some of these. And as you can see, these are all stationary. No beads are going to slide under here, and that's important. This one is all different shades of blue. It really is helpful to organize your beads by color. And you've seen this one a few times in videos. This is my chipstone container, and this is quite heavy, but all different colors of chipstones. It works to have all my chipstones together. I might have one more container with chipstones, but mostly it's in here. Make sure you get them latched. I have a few containers with various shades of pink, from pastel to hot pink. More pink, various shades, various shapes, and room for more. And this case is a variety pack, but most of these have a hint of purple. This is my purple case. I know you may not see it that way because some are metallic, but it's various purple beads. Different shades, different shapes. What do we have here? Various shades of gold and earth tones. I know I see some purple in here, but it also has some gold. So a variety of glass and stone in shades of gold and brown. This is mainly stone. Various shapes and sizes, various colors. A lot of this depends on when I bought the stones. Now here's glass, but the reason these ended up here is probably because I bought them around the same time at a show. We used to go to the bead and gem shows, as I said, but I have a variety in here, and it's heavy. Heavy to hold with one hand. Make sure it's closed. And then this one, as you can see, is yellow and some gold, and I have room for more. And let's talk about these containers here. I actually don't like this one. Do you see the latch? How simple that latch is? I really don't like that. That's an older style container that I have. I prefer this style. It has a much better catch. to show you here again. Yes, that latches, but I think this latches better, this style. So, and these are frosted, but I can still see through them. I can still see on the end pretty much what I have in here. I can get an idea anyways. And you can always label them. This one is a little more clear. I like that. But I also have a lot more beads in it than perhaps those. This one has a variety of unique beads, spacer beads, but pretty nice size spacer beads. Lots of different textures and shapes and sizes. So I have these together. This one has a variety of round beads. Many are textured. You can see a lot of texture here. Different shapes, different sizes, but mostly metallic, either metal or a metallic finish. Those, well, I could probably move those to another container. Are you still with me? I know it's a lot of beads to cover. Okay, this whole container is black, sometimes black and gray or off-white, but all black beads, different shapes, different sizes. Commonality, the common theme is black. And obviously this one is for white. I do have some chipstones in here. I put this together a very long time ago. Those are a little bit off-white, but white. This one is a lot of round crystal beads. Some cat's eyes got in here, but mostly round clear beads, and I have room for more. This one, I don't know if I can pick this up with one hand. This is stones. Black, gray, stone assortment. I'll try to, because I know I have better lighting over here. But look at all of these stones. Those are glass, but mostly stone. Really pretty too. Maybe I need to get into these soon. Those are pretty. I have so many seed beads, it's kind of crazy. So many. This container is a mixed container of colors. This one is predominantly red and green and silver and white, kind of Christmas. This has a variety. If I know for sure these are the same color as some of the others, I could merge them, but you do have to be careful unless you want a mixed color. But 3 containers here, and I have even more. This is a really old container. It's not the most secure, but I ended up putting these little, what I call teardrop beads in here in a variety of colors. Sometimes I use these to make angels. You can see I have some angel wings in here. It's nice and clear, but it's not a very secure container, and these hinges could break easily. Some of these I haven't been into for years. I have these, I actually have it taped. I haven't even opened this one since we moved here, but it's stones. I'll just show you through the case. So brown stones. This one is also still taped shut. Square stones. Different colors. Now I could put those turquoise ones probably in with the other one, but they are all square. So if I'm looking for a square bead, they're in here. A variety of round stones. Really pretty. I've got so many pretty beads here. It's hard to know which ones to use. These are composite stones where they've been put together with a lot of chips and pieces, and not a natural color, I don't believe. So I consider these composite. What have I here? This looks like a kit that I put together to make snowmen with a variety of pearls, variety of square beads for their hats. There's some sequins in here. So that's my snowman making kit. Freshwater pearls. A lot of these, the holes are too small for my wire, so I'd have to fix that and make the holes larger because I'm not one to work with string. Variety of colors of glass pearls. You can see some of them jumped over. This is another case. I would not buy pink anymore. I mean, if you're designating it for certain beads, that's fine, but I wouldn't buy the pink anymore. I like the clear cases. Oh, this one's still taped shut. These are bicone beads, different colors of bicones. Variety. These are 12mm crystal rondelles. I do suggest a label maker if you have one. These are very large glass rondelles. Very large. Variety of colors, but all the same size. These are medium twist cube beads. Say medium because I have different sizes. Do you see the little twist to them? So twist tube beads. Another case of the teardrops. The one case that I put together was for the angels. These are backup colors. You can see I do have some angel wings in here and hearts and things, but more teardrop beads. I could probably merge some of these. I just haven't taken the time to do it. This says 8 to 10mm metallic rondelles. Various beads, you know. So 2 sizes in metallic. These beads are either dyed shell or some type of laminate design on these. Typically a shell that has a design applied to it in a variety of shapes and colors and patterns. The storage containers that I just showed you have about 20 sections to them. A few of the compartments where you open the container are a little bit smaller, but I still use those too. To recap, a couple of things about these containers. One is to be clear as you can find. It helps to be able to see your beads without having to open up the container, to be able to see the color at a glance. 2, all of the dividers are molded into the plastic. They're not the loose ones that you can lift and move. I don't like those kinds because the beads can sometimes slip under, if they're tiny beads, can slip under those little dividers. So all of the dividers are stationary. And the other thing is, you probably noticed, I didn't talk about it, but you probably noticed that some are straight, squared off, and others are curved. I've seen comments before where someone will say it's easier to get the beads out of the curved ones versus the ones that are straight, squared off like a block. If you have a bead scoop, it's really not an issue. And I use my bead scoop or shovel all the time. So that's all you really need. Don't worry about whether it's curved or not. In fact, I think you can actually store more beads if it's just straight, a straight box instead of curved. Because all you need to solve the problem, if it's curved, is a scoop or shovel, whatever you want to call it. Of course, no system is perfect, and sometimes you don't have a lot of the same type of bead or same size of bead. So you just make up your bead organizer with whatever theme you can come up with, like that one that had all the crazy different patterns, different colors, different patterns, different shapes, different sizes. They have something in common, and that is they have a lot of pattern. Okay, let's take a look at my larger containers. One of them I haven't looked at for years, and I forgot all about it. I'll show you that one too. Next, let's take a look at my largest trays, my heaviest trays. When we traveled and sold our jewelry, I tried to leave these at home and put just a little bit of what I needed in a smaller organizer because they do get quite heavy, especially if you have it filled with stones like I have in some of these. So let me show you these large organizers. The other thing is they take up quite a bit of room on my shelf, but they still serve a purpose, and I'll show you that right now. These are my largest containers and my heaviest containers because they have mostly stones in them. This container is mostly oval. I can see I have some that are not completely oval, but mostly oval stones. I'm not even going to begin to pick this one up with one hand. This one I set up with round beads. Some are round little discs. Some are thicker, round but thicker. Some are just round. But that's what they have in common. Various stones, all different colors, but they're round. It looks really pretty, doesn't it? Here's another oval container, but more of a, I'd say a medium size. I do have some bales in here. I need bales. I need to remember I have some here. So I probably was making pendants with these. It's what I do mostly with the stones, is make pendants. This container I set up for making Christmas jewelry. I do have some butterflies and angel wings. But you can tell right away, I've got the red and the green, some jingle bells, and some rondelles, rhinestone rondelles, to make Christmas jewelry. This one is a little bit different. They're really not oval. They're just various shapes, unusual shapes. I have some leaves. Some of these are side drilled. Yeah, a lot of these are probably side drilled. Cat's eyes. I've always liked cat's eyes. Fiber optic bead. What do these have in common? Well, they're all 8mm. We have some rondelles, crystal rondelles. I bet these are all 8mm as well. I just checked one, and yes, they're 8mm. More cat's eyes, only these are larger. So different colors, but the same size. And what size are they? They are 10mm. I have this one labeled 8mm, crystal rondelles, all different colors. I've worked with a lot of rondelles over the years. This container has Swarovski crystal, bicone beads, in all the different colors so that I would have a color for every birthday month. I really don't like this container though, because those are fine, but this comes off way too easy. I have to put a elastic strap around it. So I'm not crazy about the container that these are in, but that's how I have them. I found a container that I had forgotten about. Yep, completely forgot about this. It's been a long time since I've had this large container out. Look at all of these copper findings. Now they might be copper tone. They may not be solid copper, but I actually forgot I had this container made up. Gives me some ideas because these are really pretty. So I found that as I was going through my large containers. And one of my takeaway tips so far in this video has been, whenever possible, either organize by size of bead. If you have a variety of colors, put the variety of colors together based upon the size. Otherwise, I really like to organize my containers by color. Obviously, I've shown you that so far. Black, white, aqua, blue, red. Yes, I try to organize by color whenever I can, because when I'm working on a design, I often start with what color I have in mind first. Do you have seed beads? Seed beads. They're one of the most inexpensive beads to find. And if you buy a pre-owned necklace and take it apart, you can end up with hundreds and hundreds of seed beads. I have quite a few. Too many, in fact. I really have far too many. So I have resorted to pretty much dedicating one organizer. I won't say cabinet. It's a wood frame on wheels. I think I picked it up at Big Lots, with soft closed drawers that I had to put cardboard in the bottom of the drawers to give it more support. But next I'm going to show you my seed bead storage, including 6/0s. Why do I have so many? Well, there was a time when I was making lots and lots of necklaces using seed beads and 6/0s and ankle bracelets. Kind of embarrassed to show this to you, but I'm going to show you anyway. Let's move on to the not so pretty storage, and that is seed beads. Yes, I just use zip closure bags for each color. I've got brown and red and shades of pink, etc., etc. So I have a bag for every color. That's what I mean when I say I have a lot of seed beads. But I was making my own blends, a variety of colors. And here's my Christmas colors. Here's my various shades of aqua that I made up. And I use these for necklaces and ankle bracelets. So that's how I organize these. I just have this little organizer here, picked up somewhere, probably Big Lots, years ago, but every color is represented. There's my bead spinners down here, along with some more beads. More seed beads. Oh my gosh. Glass beads, 6/0s and smaller, a variety. These are 6/0s, a variety of colors. I have a little organizer here too. 6/0s. Let's take a quick look at how my husband Mark organizes his jump rings. He actually has 2 of these cases, and I'm only showing you one of them. I don't even know if you can still find these cases, but I think it's really cool because he's labeled each little compartment. If I can find something like this, I'll put a link below the video under where it says more. Otherwise, I do have some other supplies below that you might find helpful. But let's take a look at Mark's containers, one of them. Mark stores his jump rings that he makes in a case like this. You can see that this came loose, but he has these little individual containers in here with little lids, and he has all of his jump rings labeled. So if you're new here, Mark is my husband, and he makes his own jump rings. He's not currently making jewelry, but we do have some to get listed. If you have room for those multiple drawer organizers, say that 10 times real quick, whether it's an organizer that you sit on the floor, or one that you put on a tabletop or a bookshelf, or in my case, top of my file drawer, they're really handy. I've got 2 Sterilite organizers, and I'm going to show you next some of the things that I store in them. And I consider these drawers my backup findings because I always keep some of them out on my table available to use, but I refill from these small 3-drawer organizers. These are just these Sterilite drawer organizers. One of them has ear wires, all different types of ear wires. One of them has head pins. I separate them by color. These are gold, these are silver. So head pins. These are mostly toggle clasp and lobster clasp. I have some connectors and hold over clamps, assorted jump rings, different sizes, and round beads, gold plated, silver plated beads. I like these a lot. They're very handy. What about wire? What about chain? Pretty simple system. And as far as wire, I keep it in zip closure bags. I try to label the bag. The same thing with stringing wire. I just try to keep it all in a bag. Same thing with chain. I just keep it in zip closure bags. I also have these little stackables that I have a variety of chain in. They're not all full, but I have some chain here. I do have a table by my window in my office, and it has a couple of drawers. One of them is designated for wire and one is designated for chain. So if you have any drawers available, so what I'm saying is I do store the Ziploc bags in a drawer. Yeah, I've got stuff stored everywhere. I do have an office, and Yeah, I've got stuff stored everywhere. I realize that some of you may not have a lot of space, but still, I hope that I've shared some organizational tips with you. And before this video is over, we're going to take a trip to Dollar Tree because I was looking for some storage containers for you. But before we do that, here's a quick look at how I line up my thrifted finds to share with you. This is where I share with you my hauls, and then I make something from one of those hauls. I found these containers at Target, not sponsored. And then I showed you in one of my recent videos when I bring in a haul of fashion and costume jewelry, it goes in one of these little containers, and I just line them up before I do my video. Let's just take a quick peek at how I store my jewelry making tools. I have a lot of tools, but I have my favorite tools. And this little makeup organizer is a half moon because I don't have a lot of room on my table. My table is a square and it's probably about 40 by 40 square. So it's not a huge amount of room, but I do have the bookcase behind me and the organizers to the side and a TV tray to the right that I didn't show you. But this is how I keep my jewelry making tools on hand, literally on hand. Are you ready to go to the Dollar Tree? Or should I say $1.25 Tree? They really should change their name, right? I found some containers that I think will be helpful. And I'm not going to do a voiceover here or anything. I'm just going to show you the containers and play some music for you, but I will zoom in close on some of them. My point in showing you these containers is number one, get the best value you can for your money. So get the largest container you can for the $1.25. I actually prefer rectangular better than square, but they've got a little bit of everything. And make sure they have a lid. A lid is so important. You can't stack them if they don't have lids. I'm also going to show you some open containers, and they would be fine for putting the jewelry or beads in for projects you are working on immediately, but not for long-term storage. I do not recommend open top containers for long-term storage. And what was the other thing I found? Oh, I think you could use some of their organizers for storing your tools, depending on how many jewelry making tools you have. So keep that in mind too. But as I said, I'm not going to do a voiceover on this part. You've been hearing me talk all throughout the video. I'm just going to play some music to show you what I found. And I just found this today as I'm making the video, and not sponsored, obviously, by Dollar Tree. So check that out. But I will see you before we wrap up this video. So keep on watching to the end. I hope this trip to the Dollar Tree gave you some ideas. Let's talk about when we upcycle jewelry, vintage to pre-owned jewelry, where we're buying necklaces and bracelets and things at thrift stores and bringing it home and taking it apart to upcycle the beads. I really enjoy doing that. I think you know that by now. I used to make all of my jewelry from brand new beads and findings. But since I started this YouTube channel, Avante Jewelry, well, I've been having fun playing by upcycling pre-owned jewelry, vintage fashion, etc. Well, you accumulate just as many beads that way as you do with buying new beads and findings. I have a very easy solution. You might already be doing it, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. And then we start into the vintage beads that from necklaces I've been taking apart. I am just using zip closure bags, white. This whole drawer, in fact, is white and off-white. White and off-white. I moved them all to this drawer. So anything that I've taken apart ends up in here in white and off-white. I also did a bag up for silver from taking apart necklaces, and I made a bag for gold from taking apart vintage jewelry. Here are some of the other colors just in a basket. Black. Well, you know your colors, right? Black, purple, orange. I just labeled each bag for the color. Excuse my handwriting. It's hard to write on bags. Blue. Another pink. Aqua. A lot of the beads in here are in small bags within the bag. So it's not like they're all loose in here. I have a lot of individual bags within one bag. Don't have a lot of green so far. So that's how I have some of my vintage beads. Just very simple. And here's some more organized by color, orange, red, etc. So this is my older stash that I've taken apart, and what I showed you prior was my newer stash of beads that I've taken apart. So zip closure bags work great. I think it's time to take the older bags of vintage jewelry that I've taken apart and merge them with the new bags of vintage jewelry so I can get all the colors together. I just haven't taken time to do that. And I might be to the point where I need a gallon size bag. Yeah, I might be to that point. I don't think my quart size is going to work much longer. But the system does work. It really does. It makes it so easy to pull out one of these bags labeled by color. And as I said, I have small bags within that bag. So it's not like when I dump it out, I have loose beads everywhere. No, it's not like that. I have individual bags inside of it. Some are loose, some are not. But it really makes it easy when I want to make a piece of jewelry with a particular color in mind, which is pretty much all the time. I have a color in mind. In fact, I just made this little pendant here right before I made this video because I didn't have the right shade of this lighter aqua in here. It's got some lighter aqua. So I whipped that pendant up real quick. Some of you have mentioned that you have a very small space to work in. Oh, I know that can be tough. But if you can think about your space and think vertical, okay, vertical. If you can fit in one bookcase, one, 5-shelf bookcase, you can hold so much stuff on that, and you can put things on the top. If you can get a drawer organizer, a multi-drawer organizer, and have that nearby, you can get a lot of things in drawer organizers. And if you can, have something with multiple drawers. A lot of times they're used for scrapbooking and things like that. But the more small drawers that you have, the easier it can be to organize your beads and findings. I know some people go to the hardware store and buy those little plastic trays. I used to use that. I'm not real fond of that, mainly because they can get dust in there a lot easier than a closed compartment. But they also have typically the little dividers that you put in it, and the beads can get underneath if they're really small, if those sliders get out of place. So final takeaway. So along with organizing beads by size or color, I also organize by type. I try to put glass beads in their own container, and I try to put stones in their own container. It just depends on how many I have. I don't want to have a container that's half full. You can see that I had some that didn't have a lot in it, and I could probably move some of my beads around, my glass beads or my stones, to make better use and perhaps free up one of my organizers. But unless it's organized completely by color, random beads, glass and stone by color, in some of those larger containers, as you could see, I tried to stay with glass versus stone. Clear containers, a good closure on the container. Stay away from hard plastic containers because those hinges are going to break eventually, and that's not a good thing. Try to have less containers, but more functional containers, if that makes sense. In other words, instead of having 10 containers with aqua beads, try to have one container and put all your aqua beads in there. So less is more. And avoid open baskets. Invest in things that are stackable, and they're only stackable if they have a lid. Buy some zip closure bags. Let me grab something here. One of my new favorite little bags that I get at Walmart, not sponsored, is these little snack bags. And they're square. It's a small box. I know I have it torn off here, but let's see if I can show it to you. But they're square bags, and these things are great, not only for storing jewelry in that you've made, but also maybe you only have enough beads to fill this, and you don't need a sandwich bag or a quart size or gallon bag. But I would highly recommend these little snack bags, square. They're just called square snack bags. So pick up some of these. Just use regular zip closure bags. They don't have to be name brand or anything, just something that's not going to fall apart after a couple of times of opening and closing it. I don't buy my bags at the Dollar Tree. I typically buy them, I pick up a lot of bags at Walmart, both in the food area and the jewelry making area. Those are helpful. And my gallon bags I pick up at Aldi, not sponsored. I always have to say not sponsored. So did I miss anything here? A makeup organizer can make a great tool organizer. I'm sure I probably forgot something. But back to your workspace. If you have the ability to store things underneath, see what kind of height you have and try to find drawer organizers. Maybe you can fit two, one on each side of where you sit. If you have your beads stored behind you, consider a swivel chair. My swivel chair doesn't have any arms in it because they just would get in the way. In fact, it doesn't even have a back on it because I'm always leaning forward anyway when I'm making jewelry. So no back, no arms, so it doesn't get in my way. TV trays can be helpful because you can set them up as you need them and you can fold them up and put them out of the way. Other than that, along with plastic drawer organizers, bookshelves. Yes, bookshelves. They're great. In fact, my bookcase that holds all those beads, it is a very sturdy bookcase, but there's tons of weight on there. And yes, I have to move the organizers to get to one underneath, but it's really not that bad. I have a TV tray that I can set them on as I'm getting to one that's, further down in the stack. So I think I've covered it, honestly. If I've missed something or you have any ideas or suggestions, leave a comment below and let everyone know how you store your beads and findings. I think that's about all I have. And I realized after going through my beads, I need to spend some more time to organize some of them a little better and free up some of my organizers for something else. I probably, though, will always continue to store my vintage to modern fashion jewelry in zip closure bags. You might be surprised by that. You might be thinking, why don't you put them in organizers? Well, I'm kind of maxed out on my space for organizers right now, and they are an investment, a worthwhile investment, but it's something that you can work up to. You can start with the zip closure bags and maybe buy an organizer or two every month. If you bought two a month, that would be 24 new organizers in a year. I will put links below the video for the organizers that are similar to what I use. And of course, you'll find my bead scoop and all my different tools and things like that. To let you know, this is going to be the one and only video that I ever make on my bead and findings storage. And when someone asks me, how do you store your beads? Well, I can refer them to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate a thumbs up, like, comment, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe. and thanks for watching. I'm Vicki with Avante Jewelry, and I'll see you in the next video.